Look, I'm well aware of Joe Biden's sponsored 94 crime bill under Bill Clinton's presidency. In fact, I felt the impact of that directly because when the feds passed the Truth in Sentencing Act, Florida followed suit, mandating that inmates do 85% of their time. So I directly felt the impact of that. I do not like Joe Biden because of that. But if we are going to blame Joe Biden and Bill Clinton for the 94 crime bill, then we need to understand it in its historical context. Lyndon Johnson, a Democratic president, passed the Voting Rights and the Civil Rights Act, but he also created the Crime Commission. Then we had Republican Richard Nixon, who started the fear-mongering by sensationalizing crime. He used law and order rhetoric in order to get votes. After Nixon, along came another Republican by the name of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan used that same law and order rhetoric and put it into practice and created the war on drugs. As we now know, the war on drugs was directly a war on Black America. With that, we had the 1986 Anti-Drug Abuse Act. Then we had Republican George Bush, who was actually losing the presidential election to Michael Dukakis until Michael Dukakis slipped up and had a soft on crime message that was propagated by the media. So along comes Bill Clinton, a Democrat who is trying to win the presidential office even though his three predecessors were all Republicans. All three of these Republicans won the presidential office based on the law and order rhetoric and agenda. So Bill Clinton knew in order to win the presidential election, he must not only enforce law and order, but he must double down on it and outdo the Republicans. And in doing so, not only did he win the presidential election, but the 94 crime bill was born. Do I excuse him and Biden's actions? Absolutely not. But I understand them in the historical context of what was going on with the political theater of the day. And this is my issue. At least the people on the left admitted that they got it wrong. The people on the right won't even admit that systemic racism exists. People on the right will tell you that it's a culture problem and not a system problem. People on the right seem to think that personal accountability and fighting an unjust system are mutually exclusive ideas. People on the right seem to think that by ending interpersonal racism, meaning that we all just get along, will somehow make the institutional racism magically disappear. Should we all get along? Absolutely. But it can't stop there. Ending racism in America is much deeper than blacks and whites getting along. Ending racism is going to take all of us understanding and educating ourselves and realizing that our system has systematically oppressed people of color, particularly Black Americans in this country, for far too long. So until we put our politics aside and realize that it's much deeper than interpersonal racism and that the racism exists on an institutional level, racism will never end in America.